So we're going to be creating a scatter plot. I've already imported a data set called dogs as a CSV file. This is one we've used once before. In order to be able to work with that, I'm going to import the Pandas library as an object that I'm going to call PD, but you can call it whatever you would like. I'm going to import the math plot library, as specifically a portion of it called pyplot, as this thing I'm going to call PLT, this object I'm going to call PLT. And then I'm going to read into the program as what's called a data frame. So I'm using df for my variable data frame, but you could really call it anything you want. I'm going to go to that PD Panda object I've already created and ask it to read for me the CSV file, which the Panda library knows how to do for me. I have this dogs CSV file that I've already imported by just dragging and dropping over into my project. I have to name this exactly the same as the name of my file. So the name of the file is dogs.csv. And also I have to tell it where it's located, where the file is actually located in reference to the Python program. So it's located in the current working directory is what that dot and / means. And then what I'm going to do is going to print it. I like double checking along the way. You don't have to, I guess, but I think it's a good idea to write a little bit of code and then check it. Write a little code and then check it. Just make sure everything's working. And that makes it easier to find errors if I have some kind of problem, because I only have a couple of lines of code. So it looks like it's printed out the data frame, the information that's contained in this CSV file. So I'm going to keep moving ahead. I'll go ahead and get rid of this. I just wanted it for a second to double check. And now what I'm going to do is pick out one of the attributes or variables from my data frame object. So I'm going to use these square brackets, which are actually creating an array here, or a list. And I can pick from any one of these titles, any one of these variables. So name, breed, group, minimum lifespan, maximum lifespan. So I'm going to pick a numeric variable to be able to do a scatter plot with. And I also have to pick it where I'm using the name exactly. It's case sensitive. You have to be careful of capital and lowercase letters. So I'm just going to copy and paste to make sure that I get it exactly the same. The thing that's different from previous assignments is I'm going to do this twice. So it's going to make it bivariant. I'm going to get two variables instead of one variable. You know, the difference between univariate 1 and bivariant 2. So I'm going to pick a second variable. This time I'm going to pick max weight. Again, I'm going to copy and paste to make sure I get it exactly the same. It has to match exactly. And I'm going to print it out. You know, I like to test stuff. I'm going to test out just to make sure it works. It's better to take the moment, I think, to test it out before just moving ahead and hoping it works. Just to see what's in there, just to be cautious. So when I printed it out here, it printed out what was in X, which is my maximum lifespan, and it's counting from 0 to 104. It just left out some details in the middle. All the values that were in the maximum lifespan, and it's telling me at the end that was the maximum lifespan. There was 105 items, and those items were all variable type that's called, or memory type that's called a float. It's how it saved it in memory. And then same thing for that Y. It's given me 0 through 104 values, all the values in order. Those are the maximum weights that are in the data, and that is the length of it is 105 of them, and they're all happen to be float values in memory. So Now that I've used that print to double check, I know I have what I need. This time I'm actually going to use the py plot to plot me instead of a histogram, I'm going to have it plot for me a scatter plot. So the way that we do that is plt, and instead of dot histogram like we did before, we're going to use the word scatter, which is a different method. And then I have to, easy to forget, I have to tell plt object here, which is a py plot object, to show that graph. That's a really easy one to forget. You have to be cautious to put that in as the last line. After everything is put in for the graphics you want, the last thing you want is to show you those graphics. So here we go. We've got a scatter plot of the variables that come from the dogs CSV file, which is the average maximum lifespan for 105 different breeds of dogs, plotted in comparison to the maximum weight average of 105 different breeds of dogs. And we get this scatter plot that shows us that there's a correlation, there's a connection between the values. It's not necessarily the strongest correlation, but it does seem to be kind of going downhill, kind of having that negative correlation there.